Welcome to the new chapter on goals, objectives, and performance management. Let me start with a few questions. What's the real difference between a goal and an objective? Why do some managers say, what gets measured gets done? Can focusing too much on short-term objectives actually harm a company in the long run? By the end of this lecture, we'll not only answer these questions, but also explore how goals, objectives, and performance management shape individual and organizational success. Let's begin with definitions. Goals are broad, general statements about what an organization or individual wants to achieve. They provide direction and aspiration. For example, Uber's early goal was to make transportation so efficient and affordable that it would be cheaper than owning a car. Objectives, on the other hand, are specific, measurable, and time-bound steps that support goals. While Uber's goal was broad, an objective might have been to enter 20 new cities within 6 months. Objectives are concrete, measurable, and designed to move the organization closer to its goals. Objectives are tracked using measures. Measures are the metrics that tell us whether we're making progress. For example, the objective of improving financial performance can be measured through sales revenue, profitability, return on investment, or even stock price. A common saying in management is, what gets measured gets managed. The idea here is that if you assign a number to something and monitor it, you are more likely to achieve it. So, what makes an effective objective? It should be clear and concise, not vague. It should focus on results, not just processes. It must be measurable, it must include a deadline, and it should use action verbs to drive accountability. This is very similar to how you should write your resume. For example, Marissa Mayer, former CEO of Yahoo, described her achievements in terms of numbers, timelines, and measurable results. Exactly the way strong objectives should be written. Now, while goals and objectives are essential, there are also dangers when companies focus too narrowly on them. Let's look at a few common problems. Looking backward. Companies often set objectives based on past data because it's easier to measure. But this can blind them to future changes. For instance, Kodak focused heavily on film-based performance metrics and failed to adapt quickly to digital photography. Incremental thinking. When firms only set modest, measurable objectives, they may miss opportunities for radical innovation. For example, reducing waste by 1% each year is safe, but finding a new process that reduces waste by 50% could be transformational. Short-termism. Companies with quarterly performance goals may sacrifice long-term investments. In the pharmaceutical industry, some firms raise drug prices to maximize short-term profits. The infamous case of Martin Shkreli, who increased the price of a life-saving drug by over 600%, is a stark example. While profitable in the short term, this created public outrage, regulatory scrutiny, and lasting reputational damage. At the individual level, performance appraisal systems use goals and objectives to evaluate employees. For example, a salesperson might have the objective, increase sales by 10% this quarter. However, as with companies, there are risks. If employees are judged only on narrow targets, they may neglect collaboration, creativity, or long-term contributions that don't show up immediately in the numbers. So let's return to our opening questions. What's the difference between a goal and an objective? Goals are broad aspirations, objectives are specific, measurable steps with deadlines. Why do managers say, what gets measured gets done? Because metrics focus attention, resources, and accountability. Can focusing too much on short-term objectives hurt a company? Yes, overemphasis on short-term results can cause missed innovations, reputational damage, and long-term decline. In short, goals and objectives are vital for success, but they must be connected to vision, strategy, and long-term thinking. Effective managers know how to balance clear measurement with flexibility and foresight.